Welcome to Transforming the Toddler Years, the podcast for conscious parents, caregivers, and educators who believe tantrums aren't terrible. They are powerful opportunities for connection, growth, and learning during the first 5 years. You'll explore how to use intentional language to raise calm, confident, and deeply connected kids, because the way we talk to kids becomes how they see themselves and engage with the world. Hi, I'm your host, Cara Terrell, classroom teacher turned parent educator and teacher trainer. Are you ready to nurture your children's mind, body, and spirit? Welcome, Toddler Tribe. Let's transform the toddler years together. Hey, Toddler Tribe. I'm excited to jump into this episode with you. But before we do, perhaps you've heard we're launching a community just for you, and it's called the Toddler Tribe. Before we open the doors wide open, I want to hear from you. DM me on Instagram the word community. If this sounds like something that would be really valuable to you inside those doors, you'd get first dibs on these podcast episodes before the rest of the world does. You would get access directly to me through group coaching calls and hot seat Q&As. You would also get to watch videos of some of the special people in my life. And I'm not someone who wants to be putting out kids' faces to the internet, so this would be a very private and personal space where you could see the interactions and experience live time video exposure to what it's like to use intentional language with kids and what happens on the other side. So take a quick second, go DM me on Instagram the word community so we can co-create a space where you are truly transforming the toddler years.
Welcome back, Toddler Tribe. Today we are talking about pride, and probably not what you're thinking. As you know, I love words. That's what this entire company is built on, how we talk to kids and the implications it has for who they are, their identity, their belief system, their moral and value compasses, and then, of course, their successful outcomes in school and the world. And homonyms are some of my favorite words. Now, for those of you who need to do a little primer in elementary school, and I get it, it's been a long time. A homonym is the same word that has different meanings depending on how you use it. And today I want to talk about the word pride, because I've heard a lot lately in the media. I've heard a lot lately through parents and educators that pride seems to be getting in the way of kids' natural learning capabilities. So just for the sake of this conversation, let me tell you what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the pride movement. That's not something you're going to hear me talk about on this show. I'm talking about the idea that we can either be incredibly proud of ourselves, this deep well that comes from within, the I did that by myself. I worked for that. I struggled for that. I created opportunities. I put down those roadblocks and I got there. Pride. Or the other type of pride that actually puts up roadblocks. And that comes from it. They both come from a deep sense of self-worth. If you look at the people in your life and you're like, oh, they're so prideful, what do you really mean? When they interact with you, they think that they know everything, even if they don't. They need to be right instead of being willing to hear what you have to say. There is a dark side to this pride thing. And so I want to unpack that with you a little bit today, because it seems to be where most people these days are putting attention on the word. that there's this negative connotation that someone who is exhibiting pride, oh, watch out for them. You don't engage or distance yourself because it is going to negatively affect you. But your job as caregivers, parents, and educators is to raise kids who are incredibly proud of themselves. That is where the internal motivation to keep trying, to be gritty, and to learn comes from. Those moments of positive dopamine hits, those moments in the frontal lobe where they say, oh my goodness, I did this all by myself. So how do we do this? How do we do this? Well, one of the most important things about raising kids who feel those moments of pride is giving them the space to do it. This world is so busy right now. Your life is so busy. Your home is so busy. Everything feels like it has a time and a place and a schedule. There's no space for that internal compass of theirs to just guide the next thing they do, the next choice they make, the next tricky thing they try. Space and time is number one on your list to create pockets of it. And yes, you're going to have to do it intentionally because of the way the world has organized your life. And I know that's true. But here's the great news, Toddler Tribe. You don't actually need a lot. This is very much a quality over quantity situation. If you can create 10 minutes, a pocket in the morning where there are no expectations, there's no screens, there's no directions given, there is just space. Some toys out, maybe you're outside, getting ready to go but not leaving. Now this takes some time management on your part, I know that, to build that in. But this transition of 10 minutes of expectation-free time is actually going to do two wonderful things for you. One, it will end up being something that your kids really look forward to because it feels good to them. This is what we call child-led learning, right? I just did an episode on that fairly recently. It feels good. They're going to look forward to that. It's also going to serve as kind of that mid-transition. So instead of the chaos of direction giving, hurrying, rushing, the energy is rising, and all of that's happening, and sweeping that with you into the car or out of the school or whatever your particular transition is in that moment, you're giving it that cool little buffer of this is actually a good energy, a safe space, a fun time. It's my job to follow you instead of your job to follow me. Okay. So the first thing kids need in order to direct themselves towards moments of, I created a plan in my head, I did the thing, I feel accomplished. The accomplished side of pride is space and time to do it. The second thing that they need is you. They need you alongside them to witness it. They need you alongside them to respond to it, to put words to it. Remember, we're talking about little people here, right? Yes, that internal system is going to flag for them, and you're going to get the bright eyes and the big smile when they get across the monkey bars all by themselves for the first time. Yeah, that's going to happen. But they need you to put the words to it so that they can have the full experience of contentment, accomplishment, achievement. And it sounds a lot like this. Wow, that was tricky. You kept trying, and you did it all by yourself. You must feel so proud right now. That's it, friends. Wow, that was tricky. Or maybe it wasn't tricky. Maybe the thing that you saw ahead of them, you thought it was going to be tricky for them, and they nailed it on the first go. And make sure they know that you saw that. Wow, I thought that would be tricky for you. No, your body knew exactly what to do. Your brain knew exactly what to tell your body to do. You figured that out the first time. You must feel so proud right now. What do you think? I mean, I want people to walk around and talk to me like that. They don't. And so this is why it's so essential that we start to kind of marinate in this, because it is not the way that we were spoken to. It is not the way that we were taught to talk to others, even as teachers. During teacher training, that was not part of the conversation. In fact, using intentional language, well, I'm dating myself here, of course, right? When I was in teacher training school, was really not part of the conversation. It is why I wrote the book, Talk to Them Early and Often, and I am working as hard as I can to get it into educational prep programs. I am working hard to build relationships with early childhood education professors and curriculum designers, because I believe with all my heart and soul that this is something people who are becoming infant toddler teachers need to practice. And they need to practice it on each other before they can take it into practice in their first and then their forever classrooms. Because it's not intuitive. And it requires a neurological reset, which we all know we can do, right? We are learning so much more about our brain matter and how we can make new neurological connections, and we can reroute and redesign neurological connections in our ripe old age of 30, 40, 50, 60 and beyond. So this is possible. And just imagine it, okay? Imagine the outcome 20 years from now, when you've got this next generation of kids who are standing up at their graduations, whether that be high school, college, or some training, whatever it is. And if this kiddo, since childhood, has been spoken to this way, celebrated this way, and given space to create and feel learning through this lens, oh my gosh, people, they are going to change the world. And I know it's my high horse, but honestly, we need this more now than ever. Now, if you're someone sitting out there and you're saying, well, toddlers are already tiny little egotistical humans, like why are we going to feed into that ego? I understand the question, because yes, they are only seeing the world through one lens, and that's theirs. But developmentally, that's appropriate. It is called Piaget's theory of the pre-operational development phase, and it's real. But we're not feeding their ego. When you tell them, I'm so proud of you, or when you tell them, you're so smart, you're so awesome, you're so good at this, you're so special, that's actually feeding their ego. That's feeding their belief system of how you view them. So they're going to lean into that. And then what kids do, especially toddlers, is they overgeneralize. Have you ever had a kid who learned that you were mom? And then every other woman in the world, mama, 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 right? Or you have a dog and they learned that this is a dog. And then every other animal they saw in the world, whether it was a cat or a horse, dog, 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 dog. Again, developmentally appropriate, this overgeneralization as they learn the categories before they learn the labels. So if you are putting them in the category, using your words of you are special, you are awesome, you're beautiful, you're a miracle, you are this, you are so smart, you are that, well, they're going to believe that everybody else believes that about them too. And they're going to look outside of themselves for that. When you shift your language, the pride is the really positive part from within. All right, Toddler Tribe, I hit you with another biggie today. I would love to hear from you. Come find me. Come find me on Instagram. Come find me on TikTok at Cara Talks Toddler. And let me know your thoughts. Give things a try. And if you have questions, because a lot of this is really based in the psychology of human development and human connection, then reach on out and I would be happy to answer your questions. All right. Toddler Tribe, you are amazing. And thank you for being someone who's willing to do this big work. And you know what to do. Stay mindful and proactive until our next episode of Transforming Adult Bears.